Hi, Senator Hough here for our weekly update. And first, I wanted to let you know about Anaya's Law. I talked to you about it last week. It was legislation that I put in along with fellow Frederick County lawmaker Kathy Afzali. And this legislation puts in new safeguards for children in cases of severe physical and sexual abuse to make sure that the Department of Social Services can block reunification with children and their parents in case the parent is very abusive, it's a dangerous situation. We're doing this because of a tragic case in Frederick County. The legislation passed the Senate unanimously this week, came out of committee unanimously. It's going over to the House, and it's already come out of one of the House committees, so it looks like it's on a fast track to passage. It's a very good law, and we're looking forward to that passing. Also this week, the governor announced a new task force dealing with heroin. I know in Frederick County especially, and a lot of the small municipalities like Brunswick, Myersville, Thurmont, we've heard time and time again about the problems of heroin. So many of our young people are now becoming addicted to this terrible drug, and there's so many deaths that are now resulting from it. So I was glad to see that the governor took action and announced a new task force to look into how to deal with this. And going forward, we need to make sure that our first responders have the proper tools. In cases of overdoses, they can come into the scene and give the young person medication that can revive them. It's doing wonders. Second off, we need to crack down on those who are dealing drugs into our communities. We need to work with the state police, local police, and make sure they have the tools and penalties available to go after these folks. And finally, we need to look at ways of treatment. And there's actually bipartisan legislation in by the Senate President and a number of us, and myself, co-sponsor that, to look at new ways to deal with our criminal justice system, and especially in the ways of treatment, that we can, those who are coming in and because they're drug addicts and things like that, make sure that they have treatment to get them off of drugs. So this is a major problem that we're going to be dealing with, but I was glad to see the governor took the lead on this. And finally, one piece of legislation which I was the co-sponsor on, which was a bipartisan piece of legislation, Senate Bill 213, which what that would do is allow service members who are 18 years old to go to an establishment, a bar, a restaurant, and get a beer or a glass of wine. Personally, I think this is a good idea, and I'll tell you why. Right after high school, when I was 18, I went and joined the United States Air Force, and I actually worked on Minuteman missiles. So the country entrusted me to work on nuclear missiles as we entrust our young people, our young men and women, to protect our freedom, to fly tanks, to fly planes, to carry guns. These are the things that we entrust them with. And so if we're going to trust them with that, then we should also entrust them to be able to have a beer at a restaurant or bar. I think it's a good piece of legislation, and I think it's long overdue. And I think if the federal government is not going to trust them with that, then they should change the draft age up to 21. So with that, if I can ever be of assistance, please don't hesitate to contact me.